Now, pick a meaning that serves you. Now, one thing that you have to begin to understand, something that the alchemist knows, the individual who has the capability of dominating reality, the individuals that you look outside of you and you're like, how are they making things happen? People refer to those individuals as delusional. I question delusion because what we call the opposite of delusion is probably common sense. Common sense is based upon what we can see. We can only see 0.0035% of what actually exists, meaning we see a fraction. So we allow our common sense, i.e. our limitations on our paradigms and potentiality of what actually exists to be defined by a fraction of reality, as opposed to the entirety of reality, which is more so the 99.9965% of what you don't see, which is the internal world. This is what's referred to esoterically in Corinthians as you are the dwelling place of the temple of God. The Spirit of God dwells in you. You are the temple of God. This is the inner world, the inner dimension, so on and so forth. Now, one thing that you have to begin to understand is that life has no meaning. Now, when I say life has no meaning, I'm not saying life is valueless. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply saying one thing. When reality deals you cards, you have a choice whether you realize this or not. And most people are unaware of the fact that they have this choice, so they don't even make the choice. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. If you don't have the capability of being aware of a decision that is being made, then you're just going to be taken down the path of wherever life wants to take you, which is how most people feel as if their life is. You need to pick a meaning that serves you. Because one thing that you have to understand is that life has no meaning other than the meaning that you prescribe to it. And the meaning that you prescribe to life has the undertone of emotion. And emotion is energy emotion. That energy emotion emits a signature that we call a vibration. When that vibration is repeated into a cycle, it becomes a frequency. And eventually that frequency materializes itself and solidifies itself into what we call reality. Reality and frequency are the exact same energy, just in altered states of vibration. So it all truly begins with your meaning. And whether you realize this or not, based upon the level of consciousness that it's likely that you spend majority of your time in, or let's say survival paradigm as most of us, the meaning that we typically ascribe to things is typically negative. And you have to understand, even from a point of evolutionary psychology, we're wired to be able to see the negative things first, because our ability to spot the negative things first gives us a sense of security, right? So your brain literally looks for problems. And the unfortunate thing is that if you're looking for problems, problems are going to be looking for you. Because where attention goes, energy flows, and that energy grows and it multiplies and solidifies itself into reality. What you're looking at is nothing more than yourself. So as we're looking for problems or negative things in the things that we go through, typically the first thing that we do is attribute a meaning that is negative. Because one thing that you have to understand is that most things in life, and I say most because I'm not that spiritually going, you know, some spiritual niggas, they'll just go all the way to the edge, and I don't think anybody should exist within extremities, because I think once we go to extremities, we become slightly imbalanced, right? So it's about finding that balance for you. But few things in life are truly negative. I believe few things in life are truly negative, but most things are neutral. And most things being neutral only become negative once you understand one thing. You begin to charge the neutrality of reality with your perception. And I need you to understand this. You charge the neutrality of reality with negativity with your perception. Meaning, most of what happens in life just is. Most things actually just are. So that person that does you wrong, that just is. That client that doesn't come through, it's not it. That deal that falls through, it's just neutral. Your inability to get that job in that rejection letter, it's just neutral. You try to go for this promotion, it's just neutral. Most things in life are just actually neutral. We begin to charge them with our perception of perceiving it as a negative thing. We attribute a meaning to it that is negative. And that negative meaning is always in contradiction to what it is that we want to materialize. And I really need you to understand this, because this is something that we do most of the time unconsciously. So for example, let's say you go on a date. Let's say you go on a date, you want to materialize a relationship, and the date's terrible, the person's a fucking weirdo, and it's just terrible. It just goes left, right? Now, there's a certain meaning that you can attribute to that circumstance, that condition. And the meaning that you put behind that circumstance will always perpetuate and reflect the essence of the meaning in of itself, which, remember, meaning is emotion, emotion is energy, emotion, vibration, frequency, reality. So you have to do one thing that most people don't do. And this is gonna sound very delusional, but you need to pick a meaning in what life deals to you that serves you. If you can do that, I promise you, if you can do that, the materialization of your desired reality will be more likely than you could ever realize. More likely than you could ever realize. I had a client of mine that had a stock situation go left. Like, he does about, well, when we first started working together, he was doing about 10K a month. He recently hit a 40K a day. And prior to this 40K a day, there was a situation that happened with him in which the stock for his company, it went left, shipment, some shit just went wrong. And I said to him, you know, what do you think this is? And the meaning that he initially, the default meaning that he attributed to it was backed with negativity. It was an inadequacy in his leadership. It was an inadequacy in his ability to see clearly, and it was oversight, and it was a mistake, and this meant that he wasn't that good, and his business wasn't that good, and this and this and this. And I said, the meaning that you're choosing to prescribe to this reality is actually going to perpetuate the essence of you being inadequate, not being that good, and it's just going to lead to the same thing. So what meaning can you pick from this that actually contributes to your desired reality? And that's a question I want you to write down. You should be writing down notes anyways. But one question that you have to ask yourself is, what meaning can I take away from this that serves my desired reality? And the question that, well, I guess the answer to his question, he sat there for about 10 minutes. We were just sitting there in silence. And bear in mind, this is on Zoom. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at him like this. He's looking at me like, for like 10 minutes. Like 10 minutes. And the meaning that he attributed to that was that the stock issue had to happen for when his business grows, so that mistake would never happen again. Because in his mind, he was able to find one reason in particular. If that stock issue had happened at a greater level, that would have led to bigger problems. So the meaning that he was able to extract from that circumstance was a meaning that contributed towards his desired reality. And then a couple of weeks later, he hit a 40K day. Now, you can extrapolate this to whatever context it is that you want. But most of the times in life, we have this typical tendency to just take the default meaning of what goes wrong. You try to apply for a job, you don't get it. And the meaning that you attribute from it is, I'm not that good, they rejected me, I'm gonna have no money, this isn't that good, so on and so forth. What meaning could you take and extract from that particular situation that would contribute towards your desired reality? Because you don't know. Because I need you to understand one thing in particular. If you don't pick a meaning, if you do not pick a meaning that serves you, reality won't serve you. That's a bar, write that down. If you have the inability to pick a meaning that serves you, then how could you possibly expect the universe to serve you? You see, in order for the universe to actually serve you, in order for things to unfold for you in the same manner that you've seen it unfold for other people, up here, everything has to be on your side. But if you're not on your own side, then how can the universe be on your side when you and the universe are one? It doesn't make any sense at all. Meaning, no pun intended, the meaning that you attribute up here in the things that happen to you in reality have to be altered from things that are happening to you towards things that are happening for you to lead to the progression of the materialization of your desired reality. I promise you, there is no mentality that is more important than that. I had another client. I think his team didn't get enough stock and now they're sold out. And now, they don't have stock for X amount of time. Meaning that he attributed to it was, this is bad because, how could he mess up like this? And an entrepreneur at this level wouldn't have done this and this and this. Alteration of the meaning that he was able to extract from that. Once again, similar to the previous client. This is something that had to happen for this level to prepare him for his next step. And it's going to require effort because, like I said, the first default meaning that we typically get from life is always negative. But when you look outside of you, I really can't stress this enough. When you look outside of you, most people go through circumstances, conditions, and events in life and only attribute meanings that are negative. And the negative meanings perpetuates that exact frequency of negativity that then is always in contradiction to what it is that they want. Let's say they want a reality where they make more money. More money would entail more security, more confidence, more peace. But if the meaning that they're attributing to their financial circumstances is always going to be something that reflects negativity, then you have two contradicting frequencies. And typically the strongest frequency wins. And the strongest frequency is the one that you have conviction behind. And more often than not, we have conviction behind the negativity as opposed to the strength, because how you see it determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what you see. So write that down. Because think about it like this. Like I said, most of life is fucking neutral. Most of it. Most of life is neutral until we begin to perceive it with this intense degree of negativity. Something doesn't go your way and you instantly see it as negative, without realizing that that might just have been a detour that still leads to the same place if you had the capability of remaining within the polarity of what it is that you wanted to experience. Because what you see or how you see it determines what you feel, and what you feel determines how you see it. I really need you to understand this. How you choose to see, your perception. Most of life is neutral. You can perceive things in a manner that contributes towards your desired reality. How can I perceive this in a way that contributes to my desired reality? If you can ask yourself that question, it will take a bit of effort. But see, the effort that it takes is where most people drop off. Most people, they don't even ask themselves that question. And because they never ask themselves that question, they have no ability to transmute reality. See, everybody wants to live life by design, but nobody's willing to do the designing. Everybody just wants to operate by default. And the default, based upon our evolutionary wiring, is to look for the negativity. We have a negative bias towards things, which means your wiring actually wants to look for the negative things first. And if your wiring wants to look for the negative things first, your concentration is a centralization of energy, predicated upon you looking for the negative things and the things that happen to you that are most neutral. You take a neutral circumstance, charge it with negativity, and then you're surprised while you exist within a particular paradigm of a circumstance that you don't want. How you see it determines what you feel. Because if you can see it in a manner that it serves you, how can this serve me? If you can see it in a manner that serves you, then the feeling that you're going to get is support and confidence. And based upon the two M's of the universe, magnification, then maintenance, or your ability to maintain it, then this feeling of support and confidence is magnified and then maintained, and then eventually reality transmutes itself. Remember, how I see it determines what I feel, but what I feel determines what I see. And it turns into a cycle that most people see the neutral aspects of life negatively, and then they feel negatively. And then if you're feeling, your internal state leads to a particular reflection. If it's on earth as it is in heaven, then it's not going to be heaven, it's going to be hell. It's going to be hell up here and then hell on earth. And then as it says in the Quran, Allah does not change the conditions of a people until they change what is within themselves. As within, as without in the Hermetic tradition. If within, based upon how you're seeing it, you're feeling negativity, hopelessness, despair. What's some other words? Hopelessness, despair, apathy. Based upon how you feel internally, that's going to lead to an external. And most people pick meanings that don't serve them, then they're confused as to why reality seems against them. If you're not even serving yourself internally, how the fuck could you ever expect reality to serve you? And like I said, this is going to require a lot of effort, because there's so many things that happen in life. Life deals out so many cards to us, to which we get dealt a card that is more than likely neutral, and then we negatively charge it instantly without thinking, how can this serve me? How can this contribute towards it? Right? You go on a date, it don't work, and then you go like, man, dating scene's done. The streets is terrible. As opposed to it being able to extract the meaning that can serve you to lead and contribute to what it is that you want to materialize. And it will require effort, because understand this, within the darkness, there's always an element of light, hidden, small seed. And the thing is, the more you centralize on that seed of light, the more it grows. You get rid of darkness by bringing in light. And the light is your ability to perceive reality through the lens of positivity in a manner that contributes to what it is that you want, as opposed to something that opposes you, right? Another client of mine supports their family, right? Supports their family to such a degree that, their parents' existence is quite literally predicated upon their business, right? They take care of their parents. And the negative perception towards it was, you know, they're a burden, I'm carrying them on my back, and then this is this, so on and so forth, right? And based upon that meaning that they extracted from that neutral situation, that then turned earning and providing into a negative thing predicated upon how they were seeing it determined what they feel. And then their business started to kind of go like this. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, subconsciously, you're beginning to spite your parents through your earning because you feel as if they're draining you and they're a burden to you. And they're like, what the fuck? And I was like, what the fuck? Alter that meaning. It's no longer an obligation. An altered meaning is an opportunity to provide something for them that they couldn't provide for themselves. Once they shifted their perception, they then were able to extract a positive feeling that contributes towards their desired reality. Now it's an opportunity for them to take care of their parents, and they feel much better doing so. How the fuck are you going to live life by design if you're so easily falling into the default? It's not gonna work like that. Pick a meaning that serves you so reality can serve you. Between any condition, circumstance, or event, there's always two options. Something that contributes towards your desired reality and something that doesn't. Don't be the individual that is continuously choosing things that don't, because you will stay trapped there. You'll stay trapped there in this cyclical nature of how you're seeing it negatively determines what you feel, and then you stay in that loop again and again and again and again and again and again. So make sure you ask yourself, how can I see this in a manner that contributes towards my desired reality? Every rejection, how can you reframe that? Every failure, how can you reframe that? Every disappointment, how can you reframe that? See, the individuals that have the capability of reframing reality internally, rearrange it externally. And the individuals that have an inability to reframe reality outside of them is because they're not reframing it internally. This is beyond the basic manifestation shit that you already fucking know about. Oh, it's about visualization, about this, is about this, is about this. This is about as you're going on your day to day. You're no different from a religious person that prays for an hour for what they want. But then the moment they step out that church, they're in a state of consciousness opposite to what it is that they want, because they've allowed life to drag them in 10 different ways. The only way you should be looking towards is towards things that contribute towards your desired reality. And the only way you're going to do that is by constant reframing of how things can serve you. Not everybody's going to be able to do this. It's tiring at first, but it's a muscle that you develop. And the more that you do it naturally, you're just going to see everything as something that can contribute towards your desired reality, everything that can contribute towards a win, everything that can contribute towards love, everything that can contribute towards that promotion, towards that increase in your business. And then naturally, all of a sudden, you enter this world where it seems as though things are serving you. And it's because you've been serving yourself.
Oops, come off all in glass. Today.
Number 2, you need a spiritual bird's eye view. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had sessions with clients throughout a month. And let's say for 3 months straight, nothing's happening. They're approaching their goal for the end of the month on how much they want to make in their business. And just in the last couple of days, something happens, increases in business, some shit just happens. And I need you to understand one thing in particular. Things happen when you least expect it, in a way that you least expect it. And I think that's saying something for the process of how realities materialize. You see, you have to understand one thing. Our human minds are finite, meaning that they're limited. So you not only do you not know how something's going to materialize, or when it's going to materialize. And one thing that we need to do is to maintain a spiritual bird's eye view as opposed to the human view. Now, Bobby Hemmett once said, you need to stop thinking like a human and start thinking like a god. Essentially, that is transcending the limitations of the third dimensional realm, such as space-time constraint. You see, as you begin to internally shift, you're doing the work, you're doing the visualizations, you're internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. When you're good with it and you're good without it, once you reach that point, things still haven't changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, things still haven't changed. The money hasn't come in, the relationship isn't there, you haven't got the promotion, you haven't got the job. Immediately, what you're seeing with your eyes, nothing has changed. But if you allow what your eyes are seeing to convince you and trick you out of your frequency, then you'll remain confined to your eyes. See, most people are prisoner to their eyes. Most people in the world are prisoner to their eyes. They can see nothing more beyond their eyes. But with a spiritual bird's eye view, you begin to transcend this third dimensional realm in terms of seeing things and understanding that when things are materializing into existence, there's a calibration period, which some people refer to as a delay. For example, if you begin to enter a state of consciousness where you're in a relationship, you're not going to enter one instantly. You're not going to materialize that money instantly, materialize that job instantly, materialize that promotion instantly. These things, the changes take place instantly, but externally, things are recalibrating and rearranging to unfold to that particular condition. And if you don't have a spiritual bird's eye view to be able to see beyond the immediate conditions, then you'll be a slave to reality. And I can't stress this. The amount of times clients are like, you'll never guess what happened in the last 2 days. This happened and this, and this led to this, right? I've had an instance where even with my professional athlete clients, you'll never guess, like in the last minute of the game, I scored this, and it's like, well, of course. But see, what often happens is that we allow what we're seeing to trick us out of our frequency. Don't allow what you're seeing to trick you out of your frequency. Nothing should be able to trick out your frequency. Because if you allow something to trick you out your frequency, then you get tricked out your reality. Because you have to understand there's a particular degree of independence that you need to have to reality. Go back to my definition. Manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. Seeing reality change, which means it's no longer about what you see, because if it's about what you see, then you're always going to be limited, because what you're seeing hasn't changed yet. And because what you're seeing hasn't changed yet, the unchanged reality has the capability of then changing you. Because think about it. You could look at a moment in time where a period of time where something's about to materialize or something shouldn't materialize, and you're like, fuck, when's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? It hasn't happened yet. When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? And predicates upon that dependence on reality, on what you're seeing. You have a dependence upon limitation. So how the fuck else could you not be limited? Because that's what reality is. The third dimensional realm is the realm of limitation. Hence I'm saying you need a spiritual bird's eye view to be able to see beyond what reality is showing you. But more importantly, what you are showing you. Who can convince you more of what exists, you or reality? That'll be the individual that dominates. And that's a bar, write that down. I'll ask you again. Who can convince you more of what truly exists? Yourself or reality? Most people, they're controlled by what they see. And because they're controlled by what they see, they end up trapping themselves, because what they see is a reflection of their frequency, aspects of their frequency. So your frequency is reflected into what you see. You see that and solidify that as the truth, and then you remain in this cycle where you never, ever get to escape. But you have to be able to see beyond the immediate conditions. And what I call this, most people have prescribed an unnecessary authority towards reality as opposed to themselves. And because they prescribed authority to reality as opposed to themselves, guess who has authority in their reality? You allow reality to convince you of some other shit because you haven't convinced yourself enough. And I need you to understand one thing. This is especially if you've been in the right frequency. Let me change pen. Especially if you've been in the right frequency, understand one thing. Part of having a spiritual bird's eye view is coming to one understanding, and that is this. When you're in the right frequency, nothing can go wrong, and that's a bar, write that down. Now, I have instances where I will remove client subconscious blocks, I'll alter their frequency so they're now in resonance with what they want to materialize. If that's more money, if that's scoring a goal, a certain achievement, so on and so forth. You can extrapolate this to whatever it is that you want. Let's say you've done the work. Let's say you've internally shifted and now you're in that relationship. Let's say you've got that job. Let's say you've got that promotion. Let's say you've got that position internally and you've been maintaining it and you've been doing the work and everything's great. Then shit starts to go wrong. Or it's not necessarily that it's going wrong, it's just going in a manner that you didn't expect. Because see, this is the issue over here, your finite mind. Because we don't know how reality is going to unfold towards our desired reality. For example, you can say that you want to make a certain amount in your business, and then you get on deals, calls to close clients, and it doesn't go right, it doesn't go right, it doesn't go right, it doesn't go right. And then you start to think, fuck, something's not going right. You allow reality to convince you that what's going on inside of you is inadequate, so then it becomes inadequate. As opposed to come to the realization of, right, maybe those individuals would have been problems for me and they just weren't in resonance with me. Go back to the first thing, pick a meaning that serves you in order for reality to serve you. But when you're in the right frequency, nothing can go wrong. A situation that appears to go wrong or in a manner, really and truly, it's just the way that you didn't expect, is a situation that is part of the unfoldment of your reality. And this is the craziest part. I'll be with clients after we've been doing all this work for weeks and I'll be like, yo, some fuck shit happened. What's going on? Like, what is this? And then I'm like, hold on. This is part of your manifestation. And they're like, Nero, things are going wrong. And I'm like, no, they're just going in a manner that you didn't expect. So now you've categorized it as wrong, and predicated upon that distortion in your perception of it being wrong, the meaning you attribute to it is going to be a meaning that doesn't serve you. You need to come to the realization of a spiritual bird's eye view to understand that when you're in the right frequency, nothing can go wrong. Every particular instance that seems to go wrong or left on the journey to the materialization of your desired reality, if you've been in the right frequency, is part of that journey. Part of that journey. It's just unfolding in a way that you didn't expect. And if you allow yourself to deviate from that central point of remaining centered in your desired reality, you're going to be shifted in a manner that leads to the opposed materialization of your desired reality. Because I can't stress this enough. Please understand this. In the right frequency, nothing is going wrong. You might have a drought period in business or with your career, but you've been manifesting for a particular outcome. You might go through a drought period and you might start to take that drought period as an indication of something wrong. And because you take it as an indication of something wrong, it becomes wrong. You've been in the right frequency. Now it's about maintaining a spiritual bird's eye view, because imagine this. Imagine if I could pull you up and then you could see everything as it would unfold towards your desired reality. You'd be like, okay, on this day, this is going to go wrong, then this is going to be silent for a couple of days, but then you get there. Then you'd be able to stay the course. Why? Because you're seeing clearly. See, we come off course when we're no longer seeing clearly. Think about it on a boat. If you're sailing to a destination and shit gets clouded and foggy and you can't see shit, then the likelihood of you steering off course is going to be very likely, right? And I'm not talking about if you got like a yacht with like serious technology, and I'm just talking about a wooden boat, bruv. Just imagine a wooden boat with no technology. You're going off a map, right? But imagine if you could see clearly. And even though your ship may be steered off to the left by the wind, you have the capability of recalibrating because you can still see clearly. And this is what the spiritual bird's eye view is. It's your ability to see beyond the immediate conditions of reality and not to be a slave to reality, by understanding that when you're in the right frequency, nothing is going wrong. Even if things appear to go wrong, they don't go wrong until you say that they go wrong. They're still happening in unfolding, in a way that contributes towards your desired reality. So please ask yourself, if you're someone who's been seeking to manifest something and it hasn't been working, or it hasn't been unfolding in the manner that you expected, or there's been a drought period, but you know that you've been in the frequency, what if you were so close to deteriorating your frequency that you could have fucked things up until I just told you what I just told you? This is part of the unfoldment towards your desired reality. And if you can't stay centered in that, you'll mess up and you'll begin to self-sabotage what is unfolding. Things are unfolding the way that they should, as long as you've been in the right frequency, so long as you've been in the right self-concept, the right identity, the right mental attitude. If you've been doing the internal work, then please listen to my words. Things are unfolding in the way that they should. Do not allow reality, don't allow your human sight of limitation to trick you out of your frequency. Things are happening in the way that they should. Because right frequency, nothing goes wrong. Because all paths lead to the same place. That is the spiritual bird's eye view. And I even think about this in a more religious context, like outside the metaphysical shit. I think about this in a religious context. Like, I understood very early that there is no monopoly on the truth when it comes to religion. I believe that no matter the path that you take, so long as you stay the course and you maintain an element of purity and the true desire for spiritual evolution, you'll all come to the same conclusion. And that's the truth. But our ego, what happens, even think about this in a religious context, extrapolate this over here. Our ego makes us say, no, but they're wrong and I'm right, and because of this, and look at this and look what this says here, and so on and so forth. But if you maintain purity in terms of in terms of spirituality, you eventually come to the same place because all paths lead to the same place. How couldn't they lead to the same place? See, there's multiple paths that exist on this physical plane, but that's because of polarity. That's because of separation. The right path, the right move, the wrong move. All of these things are just fucking illusions that our ego needs to make sense of things. Because what if the wrong path leads to the right place, and what if the right place leads to the right place too? What if the wrong action leads to the right place and the right action leads to the right place? I need you to understand this, because this is exactly how the individuals that I work with are able to maneuver reality when things go left and they're able to transmute it. That's what this video is truly about. It's your ability to transmute, because like I said, if you think you know the manifestation shit, cool, that's fine. That's grade A. That's beginner level. Now it's about your ability to maintain and navigate reality throughout the fuckery that it's giving you. And if you aren't aware of this, you'll be tricked out of your frequency. I think about the amount of people that begin doing the work. It doesn't go in a manner that they've expected or in the way that they would have wanted. And then they begin to turn the other way around and they begin to deteriorate the frequency that they've been operating at. We see this time and time and time again. Cool. This one is very, very interesting. Just before we were recording, I said this to Asia and he was like, that doesn't make sense. Don't feel bad about feeling bad. Now, the reason why I have to mention this is because typically what happens to spiritual people at a certain level of awareness, when you become privy and understanding to how the mind works, how frequency works, how the universe works, how identity and consciousness and all of that stuff begins to, materialize itself into your reality, there's this hypervigilance that you acquire all of a sudden, when now you're like, I don't want to be sad because that's going to mess up my frequency. I don't want to think negative because that's going to mess up my frequency. Then you think negative, and then you're thinking negative about your negative thinking. Then you feel bad. Then you feel bad about your bad feeling. And then you just kind of trap yourself in this ×2 prison of feeling bad and negative thoughts. And one thing that I have to make very clear is that you cannot feel bad about feeling bad because you will avoid good. I don't want them to foster, and I don't want them to materialize into a bad condition of reality. Well. And this is so funny because especially clients, when they start working with me, right? Because for them, like, they've paid. So now in their heads, they have to feel great all the time. And if they don't feel great all the time, it's an indication of something wrong. And this is something that we all think, but I need you to understand one thing. And that is, you cannot avoid feeling bad, because you avoiding feeling bad will lead to you avoiding good. Now, like I said, when you feel bad about feeling bad, when you feel guilty, or when feeling bad feels wrong to you, you will seek to avoid those feelings of negativity, those bad feelings. Life may be kicking your ass and you may be down, just feeling terrible. You may be apathetic, you might be angry, you might be irritated, you might be frustrated, you might just feel tense, you might feel pressure. And it's your avoidance of those emotions that does one thing in particular. See, when you feel guilty about those things predicated upon your level of spiritual awareness, you then lead to avoid those emotions. When you avoid those emotions, you do one thing. They're removed from the main stage, but they go BTS, behind the scenes. And ironically, is it not the behind the scenes that lead to the main stage? And really think about that. Because the truth of the matter is, when you feel bad about feeling bad, you'll avoid those feelings of feeling bad, which then sends them out immediately from in front of you, but they send them to the back of you, which then creates the front of you, which makes no sense. Because it's the behind the scenes that lead to the main stage production, right? And that can be extrapolated to the nature of reality. You see, when you avoid those bad feelings, and most of us do this because we don't want to confront them, because we feel like we'll be consumed by them. But you need to be consumed by them, because that's the only way that they're going to dissolve. And that's what bar that down. But see, it's your avoidance of those emotions consuming you that's actually leading to them consuming you. Because see, what they're doing is behind the scenes deteriorating your life and distorting your frequency without you even realizing. And as you're moving forward, you're then being pulled into many different directions, because you don't even realize that you've got these emotions that are somewhat suppressed. But they're not suppressed, they're just not in front of you anymore, but they're in your subconscious mind. And the reason why I say is because this will lead to you avoiding the good is because, one, you have to understand one thing in particular. So long as you're consumed by these feelings of feeling bad, those emotions in particular, emotions themselves, especially intense emotions, they enter the subconscious mind. Emotions are the language of the subconscious mind. It's the primary programmer or the thing that impresses the subconscious mind, emotion. And if your emotion or if your bad feelings are continuously just suppressed, or you avoid them and you're not trying to feel them, you're still feeling them, you just don't realize you're feeling them. You just don't realize that you're feeling them, but they're still there. They're still within. They're still being immersed into the subconscious deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper till there's no more space for any good to come into your existence. Because see, when you seek to avoid the bad, you indirectly push the good away because you create no space for it. It's your avoidance of the bad that leads to the bad taking up all the space behind the scenes. And when all the space behind the scenes is full, no good can come into your subconscious mind, so no good can come into your reality. You need to destigmatize feeling bad. I think that's what we all need to do as human beings, to be honest. Especially individuals with a level of spiritual awareness. Because like I said, your spiritual awareness kind of tricks you into seeking to avoid that by thinking that you're just being some spiritual enlightened master, that you're protecting the peace, but you're not protecting the peace, you're protecting the problem. And that's a bar. Please write that down. Because I can't tell you the amount of spiritual people that will seek to avoid their negative thoughts and the negative emotions, or the moments where they doubt themselves, or the moments where they feel bad or something's happened, and they seek to just go on with life. And that's what I call toxic positivity. And toxic positivity is rampant in the spiritual realm, which is why most of their lives are still the same, despite all the buzzwords that they can say to you, namaste, love and light, and all that other fuckeries. And I need you to understand this on a very, very deep level. You cannot avoid feeling bad, because it's your avoidance of feeling bad that leads to you avoiding feeling good. And it's your ability to feel good that leads to reality reflecting good into your reality. But how could good come into your reality if you're not feeling it? And how could you feel good if you're not allowing yourself to feel the bad? Because when you're not allowing yourself to feel the bad still goes into your subconscious mind. It just takes up all this space. And because of all this space that it takes up, there's no space for good to come into your subconscious mind. So it's important that you begin to dissolve the bad. Why do I dissolve the bad now? Oh, well, I think you already know. Immerse yourself into it. And see, nobody wants to do this. And whenever I say this to my clients, at first there's always like this fear that's like, whoa, let's say something goes wrong in business, or something doesn't go well in a football match. Let's say something doesn't go right, or in a manner that they didn't expect, or something actually goes wrong. Because they need to keep moving forward, they avoid feeling these feelings. And you can extrapolate this to you, maybe not getting the job, that relationship not going the way that you wanted, your money not growing to the degree that you want. You have feelings that you're avoiding. But what if I told you it's your avoidance of that feeling bad that is pushing your desired reality from coming to you? So your desired reality can only be received if you have space to receive. But if your hands are full, how can something be dropped into your hands? It's just not going to work. So I need you to immerse yourself in it. Now, whether it takes you 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever that thing is, whatever that thing is that you feel bad about, that thing that doesn't feel good, the thing that makes you feel absolutely terrible, I need you to sit with it and in it. Now, most spiritual people would tell you to do the opposite. They say, avoid reality, avoid reality. How do I ignore reality? People ask me that fucking question all the time. How do I ignore reality? How do I ignore reality? Why would you seek to ignore reality? Seeking to ignore reality does one thing. It tells reality that you don't have the capability or the internal strength to deal with it. The very thing that you're seeking to ignore is yourself, because you and reality are one. And if you're ignoring yourself, then you're unaware of yourself. And if you're unaware of yourself, you're going to be confused as to why your world is the way that it is. It's not going to make sense. It's your ability to confront reality and immerse yourself into it that shows the internal strength, because there's something that you need to do. When you immerse yourself into the things that are stressing you, let's say business hasn't been going the way that you want. Let's say your relationship life hasn't been going the way you want. Let's say your career hasn't been going the way that you want. And you can feel these feelings that you know that you've pushed back and you don't even want to think about it. I need you to take some time out in your day and sit with it. Let all those thoughts arise. Let all those feelings arise. and you need to allow them to consume you. Because one thing that you have to understand is that it's the avoidance of these things that just keeps them not on the main stage, but sends them to behind the scenes, and then they'll be pulling strings in your life without you even realizing. And the foundation of the frequency that you're bringing into your reality is laced with nothing but apathy, frustration, anger, sadness, and irritation, for example. And you do not want to build a house with poor materials. And that's what most of us do. We attempt to create a reality with frequency of weakness or frequency that is in direct contradiction to what it is that we want. But when you immerse yourself into it and you allow yourself to consume it, your mind's going to say one thing to you. Your mind's going to say, I don't want to deal with this because if I deal with this, it's going to derail my progress. And that's the finesse. That's what it tells you, so you never immerse yourself into it. Because when you immerse yourself into it, you dissolve it. And when you dissolve it, guess what happens to you behind the scenes? You get space. And then once you have space, the good that you're seeking to materialize, or the good that you're trying to bring internally, or the internal state of peace, happiness, joy, fulfillment, everything that is required for your reality to materialize, now actually has a place to go to. And people don't realize this. I think most people in the world, and I think this is why so very few people have the capability of altering their life to the highest degrees, because most people don't want to confront themselves. I think one of the scariest things that we can do as human beings is actually confront ourselves. It's like that quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. He says something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says something to the effect of, be wary about staring into the abyss, because eventually it's going to stare back into you. And I think that's why we seek to avoid our own darkness, because we don't want to be consumed by it. But darkness is just light in a different vibration. So you need to immerse yourself in the darkness so you can immerse yourself into the light. And hey, I know some of you niggas will take that and say, I'm saying you can go start doing weird stuff and sacrifices. I ain't saying any of that. I'm talking about the internal chaos that you've been seeking to avoid, because storms only dissipate when they lose momentum. And the more you immerse yourself into your own storm, the more momentum it loses, the more it dissolves. Then you have space. Because once again, just to reiterate, don't feel bad about feeling bad, because it's that spiritual awareness that will trick you into feeling guilty, and then you punish yourself for feeling bad, and now it's feeling bad plus self-punishment. You're hella sad, now you're punishing yourself for it. You're hella angry, now you're punishing yourself for it. You're hella annoyed, and now you're punishing yourself for it. And now it's just times two. That negativity has built up such a intense degree of energy that now it's just a problem, because avoiding feeling bad will lead to you avoiding good. You need to be able to experience one side of the polarity to be able to truly experience the other side. Feel good for no reason and life will give you a reason. The true thing is being the reason. Because see, most of us live life conditionally. And I really need you to think about this. Most of us live life conditionally. We say, when I see something that is good, I will feel good. That's conditional living. And here's the unfortunate part. How many of us want unconditional abundance? How many of us want unconditional love? How many of us want unconditional peace? But we place conditions on peace, we place conditions on love, and we place conditions upon abundance. And the condition that we actually place upon those things is actually requiring to see it from something that reflects us. The mirror will never smile before you do. How the hell does that make any sense? See, the truth of the matter is, when you feel good for no reason, life will give you a reason. Most of us need a reason to feel good. And because we need a reason to feel good, we are slaves to reality by being externally dependent. We're dependent upon the external for us to be internally in a good position. But when you're internally in a good position without the requirement of reality to show you something, then you would have truly relinquished from the chains that reality binds so many of us to. So many people are slaves to their eyes. I can't repeat this again, because like I said, spiritual bird's eye view. When you feel good for no reason, life will give you one. You need to be the reason. Now you need to ask yourself one thing in particular. What do I want to materialize? If it's more money, then you don't want money, you want security. If it's love, then you don't want love necessarily. You want fulfillment and cherish, you want appreciation. If it's a position, then you want status. You want to be appreciated, you want to be seen. You need to begin to reverse engineer what it is that you want, because the only way you're going to make what you want you is by having what it wants. See, the universe in of itself knows that that reality is an illusion. The things that materialize in existence are nothing more than reflections of our consciousness. So instead of thinking, I want the money, think, what does the money want? The money wants an individual that feels secure, an individual that feels abundant, an individual that feels safe, an individual that feels joyous. What does the love want? It wants somebody that feels fulfilled. It wants somebody that feels appreciated. It wants somebody that feels cherished. What does the promotion want? It wants somebody that feels like him or like her. It wants somebody that feels seen. It wants somebody that feels respected. Once you reverse engineer what those things want, then you need to step into those things unconditionally in order for life to give it to you unconditionally, because you and life are the same thing. How is it that we want certain things from the universe unconditionally, but we place conditions upon feeling them? That makes no sense. Really think about that. You want money and abundance unconditionally, but you've placed a condition on the thing that money wants, which is that feeling of security, that feeling of safety. Instead of looking for a reason to feel good, be the reason to feel good. Whatever it is that you want, enter that feeling, that internal state through nothing more than visualizing a scene to which somebody that you love is acknowledging the materialization of what it is that you want, and they're happy for you, They're happy for you. They're happy to see you win, and they love that for you. It's of the highest importance that you feel good for no reason, because so long as you need a reason, needing a reason is needing to see something change. And needing to see something change is an internal confession that you haven't changed. And that's a bar, write that down.
That is a bar.
Like, believe it or not, any of my clients, multiple clients that are at the high 8 figures, a couple clients that are over the 100 mil line, and then a lot in the 7-figure range. Most of these individuals, believe it or not, feel good for no reason. And see, that's the thing. People would say, oh, it's easy for them to feel good because they have these things. That's okay if that's what you want to believe. But how does that serve you? Because it doesn't. Because then at the end of the day, you still have to deal with your own internal state. And what I'm telling you is, if it's your internal state that leads to the external reflection of what it is that you want to materialize, then it's of the highest importance that you aren't dependent upon anything in life. You do not want to become possessed by possessions. And what I mean by that is this: a lot of people require things in order for them to feel good, which means the absence of those things can sway their internal state. And if the absence of something can sway your internal state, then you fall victim, because reality is forever changing. Reality is forever changing. Conditions are forever changing. The pendulum swings to the left and to the right. And if you go with the pendulum, then you'll be like a yo-yo. You'll be swung back and forth for eternity. You need to get to a point where you're independent to that yo-yo. You're at a point of internal satisfaction or internal joy or security or love or appreciation, regardless whatever love is showing you. Because I promise you this: reality will not give you a reason until you give it a reason. That's a bar, write that down. Reality will not give you a reason until you give it a reason. And the reason that you give it is the internal state that leads to the production of that thing, not the other way around. Now, the final thing. Very simple. Relaxation is manifestation. There's a scripture in John that esoterically says, before a man can receive anything, it must be given to him from heaven. Heaven is that internal state of calm, bliss, peace. You know, a lot of my clients end up, and I think this is most of us, we demonize relaxation. I don't know if it's, the 21st century and everybody feeling as if our self-worth is tied to our productivity, or maybe it's the capitalistic society that we live in that leads us to feeling as if we're not producing something, we're not valuable. But we have this tendency to demonize relaxation. And your demonization of relaxation is actually a demonization of the alpha and theta brainwave state. You see, relaxation is synonymous with alpha and theta. Theta in particular, alpha is more so when you're asleep. Theta is like the bridge to you being asleep, but this is the gateway to the subconscious mind. When you're in that alpha state, i.e. relaxation, your subconscious mind is present. But if you demonize relaxation, then you demonize accessibility to your subconscious mind. And if you demonize accessibility to your subconscious mind, you never put anything in there. And if it's not in the subconscious mind, it can't be in reality. You see, I always say this to my clients: relaxation is manifestation. It's actually the most important thing. Relaxation is something that has to be woven into what it is that you do. And I don't mean this now. Some people would say, oh, what if you already relax and you already watch too many TV shows and shit like that? I'm not talking about that, because those are things that relaxation requires external stimulation. I mean, being able to sit within yourself and find the center, to find the kingdom of heaven, the temple of God, being able to dwell within internally and find that internal stillness, regardless of whatever's going on outside of you, is relaxation in of itself. That is true relaxation that requires no dependence on reality. And when you're in relaxation, all the internal work that you're doing is actually going to go somewhere, because most people do this internal work while they're frantic and they're thinking about 100 different things at once, which means their conscious mind is forward, so the work only goes to their conscious mind. But your conscious mind doesn't create reality, that's your subconscious mind. So you never actually get the message sent to the right person. The message never reaches the right person, it goes to the wrong person, and the wrong person will then can't do anything for the creation of reality. So I need you to understand that you need to make time to relax. Now, whether that's just making time to just sit there, that's fine. But I cannot stress this enough. Your ability to immerse yourself in relaxation, I'm sure there's a correlation between relaxation and manifestation. This is why whenever you see certain type of people, they always seem to relax. The people, think about it, how often do you see somebody that you aspire to be like that always looks stressed? How often? You don't. And it's because whether they realize this or not, maybe consciously or subconsciously, and I say this to my athlete clients as well, my entire thing is putting them into a relaxed state before they go into a game so they can play in flow state. Because relaxation or optimal performance or things unfolding only come from the subconscious mind. But the subconscious mind can only be accessed in theta or alpha, which is relaxation. Do not demonize your relaxation. A lot of people keep themselves going on this productive hamster wheel of always doing something, always doing something, always doing something. But let me ask you a question that I like to end with. Upon you being in your desired reality, would you not feel relaxed? And if it's the feeling that leads to the creation of the thing, if you're not allowing yourself to feel relaxed now, then how would your desired reality ever manifest?